All right, hello, welcome back to Unqualified Analysis. A little bit of a tired version of Unqualified Analysis, but you know what? We had ourselves a good day. I'll tell you what, just a little bit worn down, but that's Monday for you. You know that's when we record these things, Monday night. Anyways, I've got as promised recklessly early predictions. Really struggled through that pronunciation, but we got there. Also pronunciation, hard word to say apparently. But we got that. Got a couple of headlines, a couple of big headlines actually. A few surprises happened over the course of the last week, and some bad injury news for the Browns. But yeah, it's a pretty loaded episode. So why don't we just crack open this here ice cold, thing of piss. Refreshing. I'll tell you what, it's so much better when it's refrigerated. You should try it at home. That being said, this is Unqualified Analysis, folks. I'm your host, Caleb V. You can follow me on Twitter's at CalebVUA. I've never referred to myself as Caleb V before. Didn't feel right, but who cares? Follow me on the Twitters at CalebVUA. I'll tell you what, Twitter, it's just one of those things. I mean, it's probably something I realized for a while, but I just had a moment over the past week. I look around and I'm like, hell, man, Twitter's just a racist app now. There's some wild stuff going on Twitter. European Twitter, some of the most racist shit I've ever seen, man. It's actually incredible. That's Twitter now, apparently. I just looked up and all of a sudden it's, oh buddy, that's a different discussion for a different day and frankly a different podcast. But yeah. Go ahead, follow me there. Shoot me a DM if you want to get in contact with me. Let's get into the show here, shall we? So, excuse me. Had a bit of a coughing fit there. See if the voice holds up throughout this thing. Also, first and foremost, before we get into the football headlines, we got a new pope here, a new freshly minted pope, and he's an American, Robert Prevost from Chicago, the very first American pope of all time. He will go by Leo the 14th from now on. So there you go. Had his first homily in flawless Italian on Sunday, I believe. Things are going well for the Chicago Pope here. The only reason I'm really bringing this up, quite frankly, it's not usually something I would bring up. It's just really to point out what I think most notably, but I think most people in the sporting world who are of a trollish mindset thought of right away. But Annie Agar, first one I saw and probably the most popular tweet. She pointed this out on Twitter here. Chicago produced a pope before they produced a 4,000-yard passer. And that just brings joy to my heart. Now, I do think that they're going to get that this year. A little bit of a spoiler alert here on the recklessly early predictions. I do feel pretty good about the Chicago Bears. I don't think you're going to be hearing much from them on the prediction segment. By the by on that one. I feel very good about that team. I think they're very, very good. At the very least, a quarterback. I think they're probably going to get a 4,000-yard passer this year. If not, something went horribly wrong, which it is the Bears. That's always a pretty good possibility, actually. The odds-on favorite, I would say, is something bad happening for the Bears. That's just kind of franchise history when it's all said and done. But I digress on that front. They still have one more Super Bowl than the Vikings do, so touche on that front. But I digress. Outside of that, let's get into actual headlines here. The Steelers. I don't know. I kind of saw this coming. There was talks around the draft about this coming, but they ultimately pulled the trigger. They traded wide receiver George Pickens to the Cowboys for a third-round pick in next year's draft, and a few late-round pick swaps as well. I think it's really just one late-round pick swap as well. Might be a fairly significant one too. I think the Steelers might have jumped up pretty good, which kind of offsets the third-round value there. I mean, this was something that was already kind of in the cards. They just paid DK Metcalf all that money. George Pickens is, just the latest in a line of malcontent wide receivers who are an absolute nightmare to have in the building that Mike Tomlin just finds a way to work with. Ultimately, he was so inconsistent over the last couple of years, especially last year. I think it just kind of reached a breaking point where it's like, he's got to grow up. Maybe a change of scenery will have him grow up a little bit. I don't know if going into the circus of the Cowboys is necessarily the best option for him, but at the very least, a better quarterback going there with Dak Prescott. He gets a lot of shit. Certainly not the best quarterback in the league. I mean, there's an argument to be made whether he's top 10 or not. I think he falls right there in that 9-10 range, frankly. I don't know if he's necessarily a guy that you're going to win because of in the postseason, but if you put a good roster around him, he reads a defense better than just about anyone else in the entire league right now. I mean, an absolute maestro at the line of scrimmage. So maybe with that situation, that dynamic, having CeeDee Lamb opposite of him, which is not a luxury he ever had with the Pittsburgh Steelers, at least while on the field. He had a little window there in the spring where DK Metcalf was running opposite of him. But legitimate number one receiver, he's only going to be asked to be doing number 2 reps. He's probably going to be getting a lot of one-on-ones too, because CeeDee Lamb commands a double team, because that's a guy that scares the ever-living shit out of you if you are a defense. So he's going to have opportunities. It's just a matter of what wins. Is it the football side or is it the circus side in the Dallas Cowboys? That's probably going to dictate what happens here with George Pickens. But he's not walking into a terrible situation if you just look at the football side of things, at least in the receiver room. Don't really look at other parts of the Dallas Cowboys, but the receiver room for sure could be a lot worse. Could be a whole lot worse. So we'll see how that works out. I mean, the Steelers are in just almost the exact same situation as last year, except for probably a little bit better, because it's pretty much the same group of receivers they had, except for instead of George Pickens being your number 1, DK Metcalf is your number 1, which I'll take that. I mean, 8 days of the week, every single time. DK Metcalf, I know what I'm getting from DK Metcalf. I would have loved to see DK kind of mentor George Pickens a little bit. DK Metcalf never had these sort of maturity issues, but he's always been a bit of an outspoken personality, always has like some sort of crazy hairdo going on, got the piercings and whatnot. He always has been kind of a little bit, he's a stereotypical number 1 wide receiver. Let's just call it like it is. I don't know if he's necessarily going out there demanding the ball as much, but I think we've seen that before. I would have loved to see those two kind of get some work together. You know, maybe DK Metcalf kind of steer him in the right direction. We'll never know at this point. And I think CeeDee Lamb can perform in that role admirably as well. So, I mean, CeeDee Lamb never was the type of personality problem that George Pickens ever was. But hey, good receiver room to walk into if for no other reason than he has a bona fide number 1 there with him. We'll see how it works out. I mean, the Cowboys are just not a good team this year. I mean, spoiler alert, I don't have them making the playoffs in my recklessly early predictions here. But I'm more than open to being proven wrong. There's so much crossover from last year's playoffs, I would say, that I'm bound to be wrong in a couple. So who's to say? Who's to say on that front? But we'll keep it moving from there in the interest of time. The latest chapter in the story that keeps on making me uncomfortable here, Bill Belichick and the Jordan Hudson saga just continues here. So Pablo Torre has a great podcast, by the way. Pablo Torre Finds Out. That's just fascinating stuff. If you're too far on the right side of the spectrum of the political stuff, I mean, if you're really into the culture war and whatnot, probably not something you're going to want to listen to, because it'll probably just piss you off. I don't agree with you necessarily. I'm just looking out for you. I think we should all be happy, and that's just not something that's going to make you happy. But if you got an open mind here, and you stay away from political stuff necessarily, great podcast, man. I mean, he does some of the best investigative journalism in sports right now, or maybe not the best, but the most fascinating outside of the box stuff. I mean, he did a whole thing on fencing last week. Actually did a couple things on fencing. One was just about abject corruption in fencing, and the last one, got a little bit into the culture war stuff. That's one that if you are on the conservative side of things, you probably, maybe you should listen to, because I think it brings up some valid points, but maybe not something, if you're not looking for your beliefs to be challenged, that might not be the one that you want to look into. I digress on that front. Besides the point, one of the great stories here, and one of the great journalistic efforts that Pablo Torre has put out, is this whole thing on Jordan Hudson that he did last week. So, a lot of stuff there. I mean, the main headline that came out of it was Pablo Torre reporting from multiple sources in the UNC football building that Jordan Hudson is banned, or at the very least, there was an insinuation, like, I don't think you'll be seeing much of her around the facility anymore. UNC comes back. I mean, the more you look at the statement, the more it's kind of a non-statement, but they did say that she wasn't banned from the facility. They did also say in that she wasn't an employee of UNC athletics, which a bit of an eye-opener for me, quite frankly, because I just thought she was on the payroll. Apparently she's just insinuating herself into the North Carolina football program in the way that she's insinuating herself into Bill Belichick's life. But I'm telling you right now, man, either Jordan goes alone or Bill comes with her, because Jordan's leaving that building by the end of the football season. It will not take until the end of the football season to get her out of there, I will say. Either Bill Belichick gets her away from his life and from the football facility, because I don't think that you can keep her in the life and not have her in the football facility, because I don't have high opinions of Ms. Hudson. We'll just say that. I already had my opinions going into listening to the Pablo Torre podcast. I just feel like I had a lot of stuff confirmed by his reporting on that. I highly encourage you to go and listen to that. It's not something that I want to get into necessarily. Again, this whole story makes me uncomfortable, and you can probably put the pieces together where my head's at, but my mind's going pretty conspiratorial with this whole thing. Not big grand conspiracy, just seeing Miss Hudson's behavior for what it is, and I'll leave it at that. I don't want to step in any hot water on that. You can probably put the pieces together based on her actions throughout the last year or so, really, as she's just more and more ingrained herself into life. And then keep that in mind when you go listen to the Pablo Torre podcast, which, again, I highly recommend. Free ad for Pablo Torre Finds Out. That's the name of the podcast. Great episode that he did there on Jordan Hudson. Just not something I want to get into. All I want to say, those are the only two real scenarios. Either Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson both leave, or Jordan Hudson leaves by herself. And honestly, even if Jordan Hudson leaves by herself, there's really no guarantee that Bill Belichick has any success at the college level. And if you look at longtime head coaches from the NFL level going back into college, not a great track record for the most part, though. Not Bill Belichick, but Bill O'Brien, that's the one. Might be bucking the trend there. I love him as a college coach. I didn't love him so much as an NFL coach, but as a college coach, I think he could be really, really good. Besides the point on that one. The choice is up to you, Bill. You can either see what's going on and decide to put an end to it, or you can continue to be in this trance. I choose to say nothing. Otherwise, I will get myself in hot water, I think. But again, we'll end it off on this. I do not have very high opinions of Ms. Hudson. And then we'll just keep it moving from there. Just a couple more headlines here before we get into the prediction segment. So, second to last one, semi-surprising move here after some speculation about his shoulder injury in the spring and throughout the winter. Derek Carr is retiring from football, and it's yet to be seen whether he makes a comeback at some point. He's kind of young for a quarterback position to be doing this. I think from what his statement said, he got to a point where there was no non-surgical option that could get his arm back to where it has been. He would have to do surgery. He didn't want to go through a procedure, so he decided to retire. I don't know, man. He's been in football so long. I mean, maybe he's a guy that'll just go into retirement and then just immediately take to it. That's a valid possibility. I don't discount that possibility. But also, you've been in football so long, it's been your entire life. I have a feeling he takes a year off, then maybe makes a comeback. I think the Saints would be more than willing to work with him on getting out of that contract, because he's not in their future plans. He wasn't in their future plans after this year. I think the real plan was to bench him at some point during the season, if not just have the shoulder surgery go through, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it. Either way, I have a hard time seeing this being the end. Like, this is not a situation where, I mean, yes, he's sustained a lot of injuries, but he's still got, at the very least, age-wise, juice left in the tank. Now, it is a throwing shoulder injury with a major shoulder surgery on the horizon, and that'll have to happen if he wants to play again. So, more and more I talk, maybe he doesn't end up coming back. I don't know, though. At that age, I just feel like the itch is going to get to him. Now, I don't think it'll be good if and when he does come back. I mean, he wasn't necessarily good the last couple of years, but I do think that it's going to gnaw at him for a little bit. I think he'll be living comfortably for a year, but he'll be bored as hell watching football every Sunday, and then he's just going to be chomping at the bit to get back. I could be absolutely wrong, and I hope that he goes into retirement and has a great time, honestly. I have a hard time seeing it. I do have a hard time seeing it. Okay, and last headline here before we get into the predictions. The recklessly early predictions, mind you. So last headline, late breaking one here throughout the course of Monday. This one just came across my desk while I was at work, by the way. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, just an absolute freak hybrid linebacker safety, wherever you want to play him for the Cleveland Browns. Ongoing neck injury. Browns placed him on the PUP list, which I feel like I probably should know this by now, but apparently when you go on the PUP list this early, apparently you're just done for the season. So, I mean, yeah, neck injury, not something you want to mess with. So yeah, he'll be done for next season. He's not coming back next year. The Browns are just a horrid football team. I mean, their only possibility of success, and I think this may be the plan, just based on the draft strategy, is you just run the ball like 50, 60 times a game, have like a rotating trio in the backfield of Dylan Sampson, Quinshawn Judkins, Jerome Ford, just keep on churning with that. It'll help your offensive line, it'll shorten the game, and it'll give your defense some room to play. That's the only way they get any wins, because my God, is that team a disaster. Holy shit. I mean, the defense is, I mean, it's aging. They've had a couple of years of this roster. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is out too. He's a big-time difference maker, but they do have good players. But how many more good years can you expect out of that core before one or more of them falls off in a substantial way and they have to move on from them? The Browns, man, they're just classic Browns this year. I tell you what, I feel bad for Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski because their owner is a dipshit. But I mean, it ain't their fault. You just gotta make chicken salad out of chicken shit. That's all you gotta do. On that, I think it's a beautiful note to end off the headlines. Let's get into the recklessly early predictions. One of my favorite segments, if for no other reason than I love revisiting them at the end of the football season and seeing just how much of an idiot I was. It's the gift that keeps on giving year after year. I think this is a little bit later than I usually do them. I think generally week after the draft, maybe 2 weeks after the draft, time is a flat circle. I truly have no idea how much time has passed since the draft, and that's not a joke, by the way. Listen, you start climbing up the 20s, approaching 30, especially if you're working hard, man. A month can disappear in the blink of an eye. It's actually incredible. I don't know where the time went. I mean, I truly do not know when the draft happened. That's not a joke. That's not a joke, people. Anyways, let's just stop talking in circles. Let's get a quick swig of this here piss. Still cold, by the way. Nothing like a good refrigerated bottle of piss. It's Gatorade, by the way. I'm not drinking piss, but I love to say it. It makes me laugh internally, anyways. So let's just get a swig of this. I'll be talking in circles like nobody's business. Alrighty, let's get into this thing. So, recklessly early predictions 2025. You all know the drill by now. We are fresh off the draft. The rosters are mostly, I mean, they're not set. A lot of cut downs still left to make. But the players that are going to be on the roster, with the exception of Aaron Rodgers, because that guy is a diva of all divas, they are on the roster right now for the most part. So, with the main cores of the roster set, why not right now just predict where we're going to be in February of next year? All right, let's just predict all the results of next year. 9 months down the line, we're going to find out just how wrong we were. But for right now, we're feeling smart as hell. So, with that prelude done, let's get into this shit. All right, so we're starting off with the AFC here, going north, south, to east to west on both of these conferences. So, from the top here, In the AFC North, I have still got the Ravens. They are the only team that came back stronger from this last year. Maybe the Browns came back marginally stronger. They still stink. They're still probably the worst roster in that division. Steelers somehow have even less of a quarterback than they've had over the last couple of years. Bengals, the defense is like just me and you, both recording and listening to the podcast. That's who they got on defense, and also, I suppose, Trey Hendrickson, if he's still there by the time it's all said and done. I mean, I guess there's whisperings that the Bengals are going to pay him, but we'll see. We'll see. They're terrible at executing trades, so that is probably the only option if Trey Hendrickson wants a pay bump of any variety, is just sticking around with them. But, I mean, you look at the entire, like I said, already said the Steelers. Ravens are the only one that comes back and you're like, okay, this is a legit roster that improved from where they were last year. And as such, I think that, I don't know if they necessarily run away with this division. Yes, I do. I think they absolutely run away with this division when it's all said and done. And ultimately, they just end up here with the best record in the division. I think they win the AFC North. AFC South, we go down to, really, there's only one option in this division, but there's not a single good option. I mean, this might be the worst division in football. I'm taking the Texans because that division is just such a disaster, and they're the only one with a quarterback that I trust. But like, the Texans have no offensive line, unless every pickup they made just pays off throughout the course of this year. They'd have no offensive line. Defensively, I think they'll be really good to very solid. I don't know if that... I think they'll be really good this year. I don't know why the hell I just said all that, but I think they're going to be very good this year. I think the receiving core got marginally better. Did they sign Brandon Cooks this offseason? I can't remember exactly. Maybe Brandon Cooks. I don't know. Brandon Cooks is one of those guys that could be on literally any team in the league, and I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. I know he signed with one of these teams. Just bad hostmanship there. I mean, you still have Nico Collins. You still have a good enough receiving core. Sure, go with the Texans. Whatever. I don't think they're going to be all that good this year, but new offensive coordinator, maybe they get this one right. I don't know, man. Whatever, dude. Okay, so AFC East. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills, really the only team that I see with an opportunity to win this division, quite frankly. I mean, the Jets, there's a reason they fired everyone last year. Patriots, I think they will be much better this year under Mike Vrabel. I don't think they're a tough out in any week this season, but they just don't have nearly the roster that the Bills have. And the coaching, if there is a coaching advantage, I think there is a bit of a coaching advantage with Mike Vrabel. I think very highly of Mike Vrabel. It's not enough to offset the roster discrepancies between the two teams. The Dolphins, we don't need to take the Dolphins seriously, man. They have no idea what they're doing down there. Shout out to Stephen Ross for being a good guy, apparently, around the facility and treating the players right, but seemingly the only thing that he does correctly at this point. So, what is going on here with all these notifications? Get on out of here. So the Bills are just a clear choice. Barring injury, and all of these are just barring injury to the quarterback sort of thing, and really just injury in general. But barring injury, the Bills are, I would not be shocked if they just ran away with this division. If they had this thing locked up in maybe even late November, and that might be a bit of a stretch. I do think the Patriots are going to be much better than they were last year. I really believe that Mike Vrabel coming in there is going to change the culture pretty much overnight in that building, and Drake May is an exciting player to have in there. But Bills are the clear choice in the AFC East, so that is my pick for division winner. AFC West, it's just Chiefs until further notice. There's no logic to this whatsoever, man. Outside of they have Patrick Mahomes, who cares about the offensive line? They still have a good defense. And Hollywood Brown, Probably won't be healthy throughout the whole season because that's just not what Hollywood Brown does, but he's going to be there for the entire season, and we saw immediate connection when he came back into the lineup last season between Mahomes and Hollywood Brown. So, I mean, Chiefs until further notice. It's their division. They're the modern dynasty that's taken the place of the New England Patriots. That's it. Until further notice, it's the Chiefs. I'm not going against them again. I'm just not going to do it. So that's what we're doing in the AFC. That quick recap there. Ravens, Texans, Bills, Chiefs in their respective divisions. I have them winning. In the NFC, now I'm going to start. This is where the controversy is going to start coming in because I'm going to start sounding like a homer. But I truly believe the Vikings are going to win the NFC North this year. If you just go roster for roster, only the Lions really have a comparable roster in the NFC, and maybe even a better roster if you really take a look at it. But the brain drain in Detroit is just too much this year. I think it's going to be a bit of an underachieving year for Detroit, if for no other reason than you can't just lose the entire brain trust of the team. I mean, 2 head coaches going, both of them taking staff members with them. I mean, whether it was their intention or not, when you have 2 guys get hired away as head coaches, that's just going to happen, and there's going to be some regression to the mean a little bit from where the Lions have been. And the Vikings just have the best roster in the entire division. Now, this is, I wholeheartedly admit, a huge bet on J.J. McCarthy. But quite simply put, if J.J. McCarthy cannot at least play, we don't need him to be, I say we, the royal we, the Vikings don't need J.J. McCarthy to be a top 10 quarterback. They need him to be 16 out of 32. That's all they need. Anything more than that we'll take. That's all we need, though. We don't need him to be a great quarterback out of the gate. We just need him to be average. Make the passes that are wide open, because there will be wide open passes in the Kevin O'Connell offense with just, I mean, you look at this offensive roster for the Vikings. It might be the best offensive roster in all of football. And I'm not usually this effusive about the Vikings, quite frankly. If you want to just call it what it is, this is the best roster I've ever seen the Vikings have. In my time watching football, I started watching when I was, I believe, 11 years old, going on 12 at that point. So, 18 years? 18 years pretty much, a little bit short of 18 years that I've been watching. I've never seen them have a better roster than what they have coming into this season. This is the best organization as a whole that I've seen the Vikings ever have in my lifetime. From top to bottom, from roster all the way up to GM, it's hard not to be excited about looking at this. If you're sleeping on the Vikings, that's your fault. It takes just a working set of eyes to look at this roster and see that it is clearly one of the best in the entire NFL. I mean, the offensive line alone could be a top 5 unit this year. That's just how good they are. Again, big bet on Christian Darrisaw coming back off that ACL. All the best health to him, obviously. But I have the Vikings winning the NFC North. It's a tough road, don't get me wrong. They have a real brutal schedule this year, but I just think they're better than pretty much every team they're going to face this year. That's just the way that I see this roster. You can feel free to disagree, but I have the Vikings winning the NFC North. NFC South. I've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers again, man. I think they're clearly the best team in this entire division. I'm actually really high on the Bucs this year. I trust Baker Mayfield. I think, listen, you lose offensive coordinators 2 years in a row. I get that. It's hard to replace that. That's the curse of having a defensive head coach. But it's hard to mess up this roster, man. I mean, they have a really good offensive line. One of the better backfields in the league now, maybe the deepest receiving core in the entire league, maybe just the best receiving core top to bottom. I don't know if Mike Evans is up there with Jamar Chase and like Justin Jefferson, but I mean, you look at the depth. I mean, they drafted Emeka Egbuka in the first round, and they drafted Jalen McMillan last year. I mean, they're just so loaded at receiver. The defense is still really solid. I think they're aging a bit, but with Todd Bowles, I think you can kind of count on them having a pretty good defense. I'm just really, really high. If they can keep the health together, that was really what kind of brought down the record last year, was the health situation. I mean, they just sustained so much and still made the playoffs. I mean, I think Baker Mayfield is good enough to just pilot this team to, I mean, we're going to get to it here in just a second. I have the Bucs higher seeded than you may expect. Hey, hot takes ahead, my friend. Hot takes ahead, but we'll get there in due time. I have the Bucs winning the NFC South. I have the Commies actually winning the NFC East. I just think it's going to be a huge year for Jaden Daniels. I really, really think that he's going to explode onto the scene here. It's a tough schedule. That's going to be hard for them to get the 12-5 record that they got last year. But I think the roster improved top to bottom. I think that Adam Peters, credit to him, he recognized what he had in the building in Jaden Daniels after year one, and he pushed all the chips to the center of the table. I mean, you trade for Deebo Samuel, you pick up a bunch of players across the defense, the offensive line, you bolster up a bit. Could still use some work, but I think Jaden Daniels showed that he can kind of work around that last year. I just really like the Commies this year. I feel like the Eagles, they're due for a little bit of regression here. I still think they're a playoff team for sure, but I just think they lost some guys in the offseason, which is going to happen. They lost Josh Sweat. They got to backfill a little bit. I still think they're going to be a really good team. I just think they're a hair behind the Commies. I just think with that rookie quarterback, with that salary, I think that really allowed them to build the team in a demonstrative fashion in order to make a playoff push. And I think the Commies are going to get rewarded this year. I think it's going to be a pretty good year in Washington. So next one we got here, last division, we have got the NFC West, and I am going with same as last year, Los Angeles Rams, best QB in the division. Made some big moves in the offseason. I think Davante Adams is going to have a huge season with the LA Rams. If he can just stay healthy, just stay on the field, I think Matt Stafford's going to love having a guy like Davante Adams, because he really hasn't had a guy like that for quite some time, maybe even ever. I mean, really, he had Calvin Johnson, and don't get me wrong, Davante Adams is not Calvin Johnson, but that's like, I mean, the closest comp to what you're getting with Davante Adams, at least as far as play style is concerned. He's a technician, but he can also go up and get it, and he's got one of the best pairs of hands in the entire league. I think he's going to complement Puka Nacua very well. I think they have similar skill sets, but Davante Adams is different enough to where I think they complement each other. I think the offense is going to be very good. Defense, young last year, it's only going to improve. And the rest of the division is just kind of meh to not very good. 49ers particularly, oofta, not great. Not great. I think they came into this this season with the expectation that it's not going to be too great. But we'll see. I mean, the Seahawks, listen, all the love in the world to Sam Darnold. He had a great season last year, and I'm very glad that he got paid, even if it is low-key, just a one-year, $35 million deal, essentially. $35 million is probably more than I'm going to make in my entire life. So, you know what? I'm happy for the guy. I am happy for him. I don't trust Sam Darnold, and I've not been won over by Clint Kubiak, and he did not have great tools to work with in New Orleans last year. I understand that. I just don't trust him necessarily, and I don't necessarily trust Sam Darnold, and regardless of whether Clint Kubiak is a good offensive coordinator, he's not Kevin O'Connell. So at the very least, you're going to get a scheme regression, personnel regression all around him. I'm not a huge believer in the Seattle Seahawks this year, but I'm open to being proven wrong on that front. But there you have it. A little recap of the NFC here. I have got the Vikings win in the North, Bucs win in the South, Commies win in the East, and the Rams win in the West. So with that, before we get into the playoff picture, let's get into the superlatives. So, comeback player of the year, it's such a crapshoot every single year. I mean, it's usually someone coming off of injury. Sometimes it's just a guy that went from being a backup to a starter for a period of time and won the award over a guy that literally died. I guess I agree with that at the time. I don't know. In hindsight, I feel like they probably should have given that one to DeMar. It is what it is. Is what it is on that front. I don't need to belabor that point. That being said, my comeback player of the year, I mean, it's it's an unabashed homer take, let's be honest here, but J.J. McCarthy missed his entire rookie season with a knee injury, and he's stepping into the best developmental situation in football. So I think he could come out there, throw, say, like 27 to 30 touchdowns, call it like 9 interceptions, maybe just a shade under 4,000 yards. Comeback player of the year material right there. I would take that in a heartbeat. So that's my guess. That one's almost guaranteed to be wrong because, again, it is such a crapshoot and it is so narrative driven who wins that award. Coach of the Year, speaking of another crapshoot narrative driven award, I'm going with Sean McVay. I think they're in for a big season there with the Los Angeles Rams. I think that defense is going to keep rounding into form, and I think the offense is going to just continue to improve. Offensive line still a bit of a question mark, but I do think that they have some good bones in place there, and they have a really good running back in Kyron Williams to fall back on. So I like that. I like that situation there. I think that Sean McVay takes it home for Coach of the Year. Defensive Rookie of the Year. This one, another absolute crapshoot. It's really just, I mean, you never really know what defensive rookie is going to step on the. I mean, it's a crapshoot for different reasons, is what I'm getting at. I mean, you never know what rookie's going to step onto the scene and have an immediate impact, and which ones are just kind of gonna maybe not be busts. Some are going to be busts, but maybe not be necessarily busts. But, you know, they got to take their time to develop a little bit. Some guys develop at a different rate, and there's nothing wrong with that. To me, I just took a look at opportunity here, and Jahdae Barron of the Denver Broncos, he's best corner in the draft. He slipped down the draft boards a little bit, all the way to 20, in a situation where the Denver Broncos with Amarion Hampton on the board said, we just can't pass this guy up. So they draft a cornerback. I think working opposite of Patrick Surtain, coming off of a Defensive Player of the Year, he's going to get a lot of targets in his direction. A lot of opportunities for deflected passes and interceptions. So that's my pick. Jahdae Barron of the Denver Broncos for Defensive Rookie of the Year. The easiest one to predict in this entire slate, and it is all based on health, because if he stays healthy, he's going to run away with this thing, I think. Ashton Jeanty for the Las Vegas Raiders, Offensive Rookie of the Year. I mean, you don't even have to think about this one. If he stays healthy, he will be a top 5 rusher in the entire league as far as yards, probably touchdowns as well. I'm telling you, he's a top 5 back in the league already. And maybe I'm setting the expectations too high. I see the exact same thing that I saw in Bijan Robinson when I look at Ashton Jeanty. And don't be fooled by the G5 competition there. You don't get those numbers by not being an exceptional running back. And he's just got, I mean, just special foot quickness, special contact balance. He's easily going to be the Rookie of the Year if he stays healthy. That's easy pick for that one, for the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year, I'm going TJ Watt this year. Usually a spot reserved for Micah Parsons, but I have no idea who is rushing opposite of Micah Parsons anymore. You may remember they lost DeMarcus Lawrence in free agency to the Seattle Seahawks this offseason. And of course, this will probably be the year that Micah Parsons ultimately wins it, and I'll look like an absolute fool. But I'm going with TJ Watt this year. I just think he's got Highsmith rushing opposite of him. The defense is going to be relied upon in Pittsburgh, and the defensive line is just nasty for Pittsburgh, by the way. I mean, they drafted an edge rusher they didn't even need with Jack Sawyer there at Ohio State, which I'll tell you what, Steelers fans were not happy about. See, and it's not even a Ohio State thing. They were just like, buddy, you could have taken a quarterback, especially with the Caleb Johnson pick. I don't hate the Caleb Johnson pick, especially with Najee Harris going out of there. I feel like Caleb Johnson is just a better version of Najee Harris, frankly. But you could have stood to draft a quarterback in that spot. You're rolling with Mason Rudolph, assuming that, I mean, maybe you're assuming that Aaron Rodgers gets there at some point. I don't know, but yeah. TJ Watt, I think he's going to have a lot of opportunities here, so I'm taking him for Defensive Player of the Year. That one's probably wrong, though. I'm just going to accept that one. Offensive Player of the Year, I'm going a little outside of the box. I got Jamar Chase, not too far outside of the box, mind you, but I have Jamar Chase in this one. The Bengals are going to have to score a lot, because that defense is going to be an issue for him all year. I mean, we'll have to take a look at what the value is in weeks like 1 and 2. They're going to be an automatic overplay for a couple weeks before the books start putting those numbers entirely too high. I will say we're not doing picks on this show anymore. I apologize, but that would be not investment advice here. And if you have a gambling problem, go get that taken care of. Call your local gambling hotline, of course. But that's the play that we're looking at on that one. That's the one I'm eyeing up, and we're going to be watching that there closely. But I think as such, Jamar Chase is in for a huge season. I think he's going to have a whole lot of yards this upcoming year. So with that said, what do we got next? MVP, the biggest one of them all. I have got Lamar Jackson. I actually originally had Jaden Daniels here, but really I just kind of looked at the schedule. I looked at the defenses they'll be playing, and I just feel like, one, the Ravens have a better offense overall, and that you're in year 3 now of the Todd Monken offense with Derrick Henry still there. Doesn't really matter because when you have Lamar Jackson, your running game is always going to be at an advantage. Receiver room is really good now. Tight ends are, I mean, probably the best duo in the entire league right now. There's so much in place for him. I just feel like he kind of got snubbed last year because it was just such a crazy MVP race between him and Josh Allen. I don't think he'll have that problem this year. I do think he gets the MVP trophy. So that's my pick for that. And, of course, the number 1 overall pick, I'm going to call an audible on this because it's just unnecessarily mean what I was doing on that one. You see, I thought about calling an audible. Man. Oh, man. Nope, I'm still sticking with the audible. Nope, I'm not. I'm going back with what's on the page here. I'm taking the New Orleans Saints. It was really between the Saints and the Browns. They both have such terrible rosters right now. But I just feel like the Browns have more in place to kind of eke out a couple of victories that you didn't see coming. Maybe bump it. I mean, they're still probably going to be a top 5 pick team, if I had to guess. But, you know, veteran coaching staff, all that sort of stuff going for them. I think they have a real advantage in the running game with the stable of backs that they have now. I mean, you may disagree with their draft strategy, but their backfield is loaded now. I mean, even with losing Nick Chubb, I don't think they're going to be having a whole lot of drop-off. I think it'll be better than what it was last year, I'll just put it that way. So, yeah, give me the New Orleans Saints. I just feel like offensive line is solid to okay at this point. I mean, no, it's not. I mean, they got some work to do. There's a reason they drafted an offensive lineman at 9 this year. I think Tyler Booker is the one that went there, or maybe Tyler Booker went to the Cowboys. I can't quite remember honestly, but I just feel like the defense is old. Unfortunately, first year head coach, rookie quarterback. I just don't see it working out well. Also, not a great receiving core to work with. All due respect to Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave. If that's your top 2 wide receivers, you need some help out there for sure. Just apologies to my former co-host, Zach. It's just not in the cards, man. Just not in the cards, but I apologize. I apologize to that man. We'll keep it moving from there. So, there you have it. There is the predictions. Let's get into the predictions for the playoffs. And I actually forgot to predict the championship games and the overall results. So I'm gonna have to do that on the fly here. But as far as the seeding is concerned, and we'll kind of get this thing moving because we're approaching 45 minutes here on the recording time. But in the AFC, I have got the Baltimore Ravens. I think their schedule is favorable enough to where I think they're going to have a similar season to last year, and I think they're going to ultimately get that 1 seed. Bills are coming in right behind them at number 2. I don't think the Bills are going to drop off at all again. Favorable division to work in. I think they're going to ultimately have a pretty good record this year and be right there when it's all said and done once again. The Chiefs are at number 3 for me. Just a tough division this year. I mean, there's not an easy out of any of those teams. I mean, the Broncos got better this last offseason after being a playoff team. The Chargers got better this offseason after being a playoff team. The Raiders, shadow owner Tom Brady here has done a fantastic job on, I mean, overnight kind of culture change, I would say, bringing in Pete Carroll, overhauling the roster, giving them a chance to at least have a solid year this year. There's not an easy out in that entire division, but ultimately I think the Chiefs run away with it. And of course, who else but the Texans would be at 4? Whoever the winner of that AFC South is, they will be the 4 seed, just by default. Just pencil them in right now, whoever you're picking for that spot. At the number 5 seed, I'm going to really 5 and 6, we're highlighting the strength of the AFC West. I'm taking the Chargers at the 5 seed. I feel like I really love what they did this offseason. I think they are going to run the hell out of the ball, and I think their defense is going to continue to improve with the additions that they made this offseason. I mean, especially with they're the ones that got Omarion Hampton, I'm pretty sure. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they got Omarion Hampton, which overnight, I mean, you bump Najee Harris to the second back, and boy, we're cooking with gas. With better offensive line, you bring in Mekhi Becton, which you can quibble about his pass blocking skills. There's a reason he got bumped into guard, but he's a mountain of a human being, and when you need him in a short yardage situation, he is damn good at that, as he showed last year, slotting in there for the tush-push situations, and really just solid starting job overall last year with the Philadelphia Eagles. So love the Chargers there at the 5 seed. I think they're going to be very good this year. Broncos at the 6 seed. I think they also improved throughout the course of this offseason. I love the R.J. Harvey pick. I love it more than just about any other pick in this draft, and I think he's going to step in and be a star right away. Probably going to be a very highly drafted fantasy player when it's all said and done. I think he's going to be doing very well this year. I got the Broncos at the 6th seed, though, and why not stick with the tradition here? I got the Steelers at the 7 seed, 9 and 8, as is tradition. I unfortunately went chalk from last year on the playoff spots, which means I am going to probably be wrong on multiple accounts here in the AFC, but that's what I got for them. In the NFC, this one's a scorching hot take here, fresh off the presses, my friends. Before I say this is not a statement on them being the best team in the NFC. I just think they have the most favorable schedule, and I think they are a really good team. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I have got them as the number 1 seed in the NFC. I think they would have been flirting with it last year if everyone would have stayed healthy on that team. If Mike Evans, Chris Godwin stay healthy last year, I think you might be telling a different story about this Tampa Bay Bucs team. People forget, one of the only 2 losses in the regular season for the Detroit Lions was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's how good they were early on in the season, and I think they're going to pick up right where they left off. And I think they're in for a big-time year this year. I think, barring the injury bug coming to the building, which is always a possibility, I really think, offensive line is very good. The receiving core is, incredibly deep. Like we went over earlier, the receiving core is just mind-bogglingly deep at this point. I trust Baker Mayfield now. I think he's put together 2 straight really good seasons with 2 different offensive coordinators. You've earned my trust, sir. And the offensive line has just gotten better during that time. Drafting Bucky Irving last year is a revelation. He is a great runner. Maybe not the greatest hands in the world, but good thing you got Rachaad White, who's maybe the best receiving back in the entire league. Defense is still really solid with Todd Bowles, and the schedule being in that division is just going to be by default more favorable than a lot of your competition here. So I have the Bucs being the number 1 seed in the NFC. I might get some flack for that, and that's a real hot take, but I do believe that at the bottom of my gut here, just looking at the dynamics at play here, I really feel strongly about the Bucs going into this season, and that's not going to be a popular pick, folks. That's not going to be a popular pick at all, but I feel that. Just looking at the roster, looking at the situation, I feel that pretty strongly. Number 2 seed, I have got the Vikings. Brutal schedule, but for my money, the best roster in the NFC right now. They are ready to make a playoff run. They are ready to make a Super Bowl run. At the very least, a championship game run when it's all said and done. So I love them there at number 2. Number 3, I've got the Commies. I think the Commies are going to do very, very well this year. I think they could probably have a similar record, but a similar record will probably win you that division this year, if I had to guess, because everyone's got a tough schedule. I mean, the NFC East is playing the NFC North this year, and it's just going to be a bloodbath, because that's probably the 2 best divisions in the NFC right there that are just going toe-to-toe, going to war. Also, NFC North does play the NFC the AFC North, I'm pretty sure. So that's also something that's at play. But I love the Commies there at 3. I just think it's their time to shine. It's their time for a deep playoff run, maybe even a Super Bowl run this upcoming season. Number 4 seed, I got the Rams. I don't hate the Rams here. I think the division winners in the NFC are actually, at least for my expectation, really, really good this year. They're just the 4th best team of those teams. Even with the Buccaneers, I'd still probably put the Buccaneers at like 2 or 3. But the Rams, I would say, are clearly at 4, and that's, again, not a slight to them, just a statement on how strong the NFC is this year, at least at the top. 5 seed, I got the Eagles. Might have a better record than the Rams when it's all said and done. I still think the Eagles are a legit Super Bowl contender because they've still got that offensive line. They still have that guy at running back. They still have those receivers. They still have that defensive line. They revamped the secondary kind of overnight with the 2 draft picks they hit on last year. They continued to bolster it this past offseason. So I still think the Eagles are a Super Bowl contender, even being at that 5 seed. It's just I think the Commies and the Eagles are just going to beat up on the Cowboys and the Giants this year. And I think the Giants might be better than, maybe they're given credit for right now. But better than that is still like 7-10, 6-11, I would say, and the Cowboys probably in that same range, if not even like worse. Their only saving grace at this point is that they have Dak Prescott, even though people love to clown on him. Probably the only reason the Cowboys are going to win any games this year is Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb. That's pretty much what you're looking at right there. Outside of that, in the 6th seed, I still have the Green Bay Packers there. I just feel like drafting Matthew Golden's going to be huge for him because I think the 1-2 between Golden and Reed, I think is going to be really good. And I think with Jordan Love, assuming health, he had a bad knee last year that kind of kept him down. I think Matt LaFleur's a really good offensive mind. The offensive line is a work in progress. Let's just call it like it is. But you still have Josh Jacobs in there, who's a revelation last year. Secondary, that's going to be a problem basically the whole year, no matter how you slice it. But at the same time, I think Jeff Hafley's a pretty good defensive coordinator. I think he can kind of obfuscate and make it a little bit confusing on the back end for opposing defenses to kind of for opposing offenses rather, to kind of mask some of those personnel deficiencies. I still think the Packers are a playoff team when it's all said and done. And a 7 seed, got a newcomer here. I think it is actually the only newcomer I have in either playoff bracket, which tells me this is a bad prediction this year. But that being said, I have the Cardinals at number 7 here. I just feel like don't get me wrong, I'm not really a believer in Kyler Murray at this point. I think if he was going to do it, he would have done it by now. But I do believe in the team around him at this point. I think the offensive line has improved substantially since he first got there, or since Jonathan Gannon first got in there. This will be the 3rd year. They were 8-9 last year, I believe. Kind of stumbled down the stretch, but I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to bounce back in a big way this year and be a lot more of a consistent option. Michael Wilson's very good. Trey McBride is one of the best tight ends in the entire league right now. The defensive line has gotten much, much better. The defense in general has just gotten much, much better over the last 3 seasons or so. I don't know if they're probably not going to get 11 wins, but I think this year's the year that Jonathan Gannon and co. Break through and get to at least a 10-win season, get into that 7 seed, get some playoff experience under your belt. So we got the standings. Let's just pull off the top of my head what I think each of these championship games are going to be. So we'll start in the AFC here, just coming into this fresh. I have got, in my heart of hearts, I want to see the Ravens get there. I'm taking the Ravens. They are the 1 seed. It is chalk. But they got to break through one of these years, man. They just got to break through. maybe this is the year that Lamar Jackson has his LeBron come-up moment and, shakes the demons. Though LeBron had some crazy clutch moments in Cleveland before he went to Miami, but maybe Lamar shakes off the demons here and propels them deep. That's my hope. I think they're going to get to the AFC Championship game based on that. And man, it's tough. It's tough. Honestly, I think it is kind of. I say a 3-horse race, but you can't even really say that too strongly. Certainly not the Steelers. I think it's probably too early for the Broncos. Probably even too early for the Chargers here or the Texans. Let's just not kid ourselves on that one. I'm taking the Bills here. I think it's Ravens-Bills. I think this will... it feels dirty coming out of my mouth, but I think this might be the year that the Chiefs don't make it to the AFC Championship game. And I just feel slimy and gross about that, just having it come out of my mouth. So I hate it. But at the same time, I just feel like it's the Ravens and Bills time at this point. If not now, then when are you going to do it? So that's my AFC Championship game matchup. In the NFC, despite being the 1 seed, I do not think the Bucs make it to the NFC Championship game. Instead, I have got in this particular season, give me the Commies. Okay, I think they're going to go back to back. I think they have a real chance of making a deep run this year. And you know what? It's a homer pick. I don't give a damn. Give me the Vikings here in the NFC Championship game. And this is just an insane bet on JJ McCarthy. This could be an all-time inaccurate, recklessly early predictions, and I wholeheartedly embrace that possibility. Makes it funnier whenever we go back and visit this thing. But I truly believe that this is a year where the Vikings can make a real push for a Super Bowl. All right, so we'll just take it in snake draft order here for the results of the NFC Championship games, or the championship games in general. We're starting with the NFC, though. Between the Vikings and the Commies, man, this is tough. This is really tough right now. Fuck it, we're throwing integrity out the window. Vikings, give me the Vikings. They're going to the Super Bowl this year. At least the way that I see it and the way that I hope it goes. They just have a roster that is built to win the Super Bowl right now, and I think they're going to get there with this roster. Again, this could be an all-time bad Vikings take, and I may just be jinxing them to high hell right now. But I have the Vikings getting to the Super Bowl, and in the AFC... two guys that are starving for a Super Bowl appearance right here. Man, this is tough, but I just feel like I've seen more from Josh Allen in the postseason than I have from Lamar Jackson when the lights get bright. And so on the basis of that, give me the Bills. And as a result, we get an all-time cursed Super Bowl matchup here. The drought is ending for someone. It's going to be the Buffalo Bills, or it's going to be the Minnesota Vikings. And unfortunately, listen, man, I'd love to pick the Vikings here, but it's the Bills' time. I'm taking the Bills to win the Super Bowl this year. First Super Bowl in franchise history. I think the Vikings are going to be a team that will be reckoned with for the foreseeable future with that core that they have together. But unfortunately, I think they come up just short. Now, am I trying to reverse jinx myself? Not at all. That would, and in fact, that would not work out well because it's not a genuine reverse jinx. It's not a genuine reverse jinx if that's the case. So I'm predicting them against the Vikings here. I think it is the Bills' time to make a deep run and win the Super Bowl. So there you have it right there. There's your recklessly early predictions, and we are just about on an hour. So that's perfect. Just bellissimo. Love to see that. With that said, though, we're going to put this in the time capsule. I'm going to type this up here at some point, or maybe just keep it on my phone. We'll see. I'll probably be lazy and just keep it on my phone if we're being honest here. But that is all for this episode, folks. If you enjoyed it, first off, this has been Unqualified Analysis. Let's not forget the name of the show here. But if you enjoyed it, go ahead, subscribe, like, rate, share it with a friend. Just help me grow this thing. It's not working out. You guys are not following my advice for sure. But I'm going to keep saying it till I get blue in the face and until the wheels ultimately come off on this thing. So keep on sharing the show. Help me grow this thing. That's all I ask of you. You can also follow me on Twitter at CalebVUA. You can shoot me a DM on Twitter as well if you want to opine in any way, shape, or form. I'm very much open to feedback on that forum. So go ahead and do that. Outside of that, thank you all so much for tuning in to Unqualified Analysis. As always, I've got no clue what I'm talking about. One thing I learned this week, though, every horse in this year's Kentucky Derby was a descendant of Secretariat, which, I mean, if you know anything about Secretariat, that makes a lot of sense, but it is still absolutely wild to think about. And I already forget the name of the Derby winner. They're not running the Belmont, so it doesn't really matter. It is what it is on that front. But I digress. That's your fun fact of the week. I'm going to go edit this thing. Hopefully have some dinner, before 8:45 or so. That's the goal I'll set on that. But you guys have a great week. It's been a great start to my week. I hope it's been a great start to yours. And I'll see you guys next Tuesday for another episode of Unqualified Analysis. We are going to be firmly into the off season at that point. It might be segment season coming up here soon. But enough bloviating. I will see y'all next week. See ya. Said see ya too many times. I just got to get out of here. Bye.